A cursed man doomed to roam the swamps as a wolf-headed beast. A regional legend told to frighten naughty children, protect local traditions, and maybe, just maybe, even save some lives. This is the legend of Louisiana's Rougarou. Hello friends, I'm Katie O'Loughlin, aka Madame Macabre, and welcome back to the Folklore Files, where we dig deep into creepy legends, haunted places, and all the things that go bump in the night. Today, our case study takes us all the way down to the murky depths of the Louisiana bayous. In our pursuit of cryptid creepy crawlies, we'll be taking a closer look at the resident haunt of Cajun country, known to some as the Rougarou. Also known as the loup-garou, this bad beastie stalks the night and means serious business. Whatever you want to call it, this local legend will have you thinking twice before roaming the swamps at night. This fascinating legend is strongly tied to the area and plays an important role in both regional culture as well as keeping those kiddos in line. So without further ado, let's dive in. The Rougarou has often been described as a hulking humanoid creature bearing a snarling canine head. Most often a wolf, but sometimes even a dog. It's said to be covered in coarse, dark fur, have eerie red glowing eyes, and a smile you're better off not seeing. Think werewolf, but with a uniquely Cajun spin. The name Rougarou is a localized linguistic evolution from the French word loup-garou, which quite literally translates to wolfman. For those less familiar, southern Louisiana has a massive French influence. This radiates out through the mixed culture of the region to this day. Many aspects of French culture and language blended with those of the other locals and created the vibrant Creole culture that makes Louisiana what it is to this day. And as for our hairy, monstrous friend, well, it's believed that the French settlers brought the werewolf legend with them when they came to North America. And as they settled into Louisiana's Acadiana region, the myth localized and took on its famed Cajun twist. Add a bit of spice, if you will. Now, depending on who's telling the story, the Rougarou can be found lurking in a variety of places. Perhaps deep in the tangled cypress swamps, or maybe stalking through the muddy banks of the bayou. Or, if you're particularly unlucky, maybe he lives right next door. I mean, you wouldn't know that until the curse kicks into action. I mentioned a curse. Yes, in this werewolf legend, there's a bit of magic involved. According to the legends, the Rougarou exists based on a terrible curse, and this curse can be passed on in several ways. Number 1, a bite. Obviously, we have to mention this one here. Not the most new or exciting twist, but it is a classic. Number 2, by a witch's spell. The area is intrinsically tied to many folk magic traditions, including the deeply misunderstood practice of voodoo. Some people believe that dark practitioners may curse a human to become a Rougarou. 3, by going against the church. In this interesting twist, some Catholics use the legend of the Rougarou to frighten their children, claiming that breaking church rules, more particularly ignoring the obligations of Lent, can lead to the cursed affliction. However the victim may have contracted the condition, the next part remains the same. Once turned into a Rougarou, the victim will then transform into the beast each night for the next 101 days. Sounds like a terrible fate. But is there any way to break such a curse? Perhaps, but it's not gonna be pretty. It's said that in order to cure oneself of the affliction, they're required to pass it on to somebody else. And to do that, you're gonna need to draw some blood. I'm sure no matter where you grew up, your parents probably told you some kind of spooky story to compel you to behave. Well, in the Cajun regions, that story was oftentimes the Rougarou. This chilling tale was a powerful tool to warn naughty children away from the temptations of staying out too late, or wandering off into dangerous places like the bayou at night. Perhaps to some it may sound silly or even mean-spirited, but the reality is, the legend does in fact serve an important purpose. Louisiana's bayous may be incredibly beautiful, but they're also full of some very real dangers. Those haphazardly wandering through them are likely to encounter hazards such as alligators, venomous snakes, and even a quicksand-like mud. During nightfall, it is entirely too easy to get turned around and hopelessly lost. So, if telling your wee ones about a scary wolf-headed monster is what it takes to keep them safe, so be it. In a way, the Rougarou is also used to help enforce community morals. Skip Lent, talk back to mom and dad, break a promise, or be a gossip. Uh-oh, you better watch out. The Rougarou is gonna get ya. Now, talking about a boogeyman figure in a children's story is all well and good, but there are many who would claim that there is far more truth to these stories than people would care to admit. In fact, there's actually countless Reddit threads full of locals who claim that this creature is very much real and out there. After all, they would know, because according to them, they saw it with their own eyes. One such encounter was recalled by Redditor Term Electronic. Only 16 years old and living in Louisiana at the time, they spoke of having gone on a solo fishing trip to a canal near a church that backed up to a nature preserve in the bayou. This was something they had done for many years and had never felt in any danger before. They also only ever went during daylight hours, which only makes what happened next all the more concerning. They claimed that they had been fishing in the spot many times before, and every now and then, they would hear sounds of some large animal running around in the nearby brush. It never got too close nor caused any problems, so they paid it little mind. They assumed it was a wild hog rooting around, nothing to be too concerned about. But on this day, something was different. That day, while fishing in the canal, the rustling sounds started again as usual, but this time, something not so typical happened. The entirety of the forest around them went dead silent. Naturally, this set the witness ill at ease, but nothing else happened, so they continued to fish, albeit a little less comfortably. And that's when a new sound started. Barking. It was a strange, gruff sound, like a massive hound. The witness then started to wonder if it was some sort of large dog rustling around in the area. And so they continued to fish, and the sounds continued for another 10 to 15 minutes. But that's when things took an eerie turn. Off in the distance, it began to sound like someone was beating a drum. And the more the drum was beaten, the more frantic the shuffling animal sounds became. At this point, the witness was truly scared and decided they needed to get out of the area as quickly as possible. They sacrificed their fishing gear for speed, opting to leave it all behind and run. As they ran through the woods, the beating of the drum continued, and so did the shuffling. They felt eyes on them and could hear whatever it was following them. They couldn't identify what direction the drum was coming from, nor where the animal was running about, and became frightened. Finally, as they neared the edge of the woods, they caught a glimpse of something through the trees. It was large, dark, and terrible, with deep, inky eyes that bored into them like a black hole. They froze in place, staring at one another for a moment, before the silence was broken by the drum picking up once more. At the sound, the creature tore away back into the forest, leaving the witness alive to tell the tale. They swear they were not under the influence of anything, and to this day maintain it was a real sighting of a Rougarou. The witness then added this chilling quote, "What I saw today wasn't a dog. I know that for sure. This was something that shouldn't have been there." Did this Redditor truly see the beast of legend? They certainly insist that they did, and they're not the only one. Another alleged sighting of a Rougarou was shared by a Redditor who claimed to be visiting a friend living in Louisiana. The witness starts the recounting by stating that their friend lived in a very swampy area, and during their visit, they enjoyed going out frog catching at night. During one particular night of their stay, it was a bright full moon, making it easier than usual to spot the frogs. They're very tasty, by the way, they added. Apparently, at some point in the hunt, the whole swamp went eerily silent. The crickets stopped chirping, and even the frogs stopped singing, and all dove beneath the water. They knew that something was very wrong. Then, the silence was broken by the terrible sound of a low growl on the other side of the river. Terrified, they turned off their flashlights and held their breath, staring desperately in the direction of the sound. That's when they saw it. The creature reportedly looked like a massive wolf with patchy black fur, yet no visible skin on its head, only a skull with empty eye sockets. Lucky for the witness, it seemed as though the creature was preoccupied with some other prey, as its attention shifted elsewhere before the creature turned and ran off into the woods again. Talk about a close call. Countless others have shared similar stories, speaking of bipedal beasts encountered out in the swamp. Whether you believe those accounts or not, it does make for a chilling mental image. To many, the Rougarou is nothing more than a scary story, but to others still, it's a very real danger out there in the swamps. For those who believe, it's a frightening ordeal, but that doesn't mean they're gonna just sit around helplessly. There are many things one is said to be able to do to protect from a potential Rougarou attack. According to legend, a part of the Rougarou's curse includes that they only have the ability to count to 12. As such, a preventative measure includes placing 13 small objects outside of your home, typically on your porch or windowsills. These often include beans, pennies, rocks, or straw. The purpose is to cause confusion for the Rougarou. It will be compelled to count the objects, but seeing more than 12 will cause it distress, getting caught up in an endless cycle of recounting until the sun rises, if not fully deterring it altogether. This fixation with counting mirrors many other regional haunts as well. Drawing from other folkloric traditions, some say spreading a line of salt around your home can act as a ward. Not only is salt believed to have protective properties against spirits, but once again, the Rougarou's compulsion to count may captivate it as it tries counting each grain of salt for hours. As with other malicious entities, locals may also keep a variety of trinkets and talismans hanging near their home to deter the creatures. Things like reflective mirrors and witch bottles are said to help distract the entities, further protecting one's home. And finally, some believers rely on their faith. Given the Rougarou's ties to Cajun Catholicism, particularly Easter and Lent, there are some uniquely Catholic fixes. It's said that around these holidays, prayer gatherings or symbolic burning of items is sometimes employed. This blends local religious practice with folk beliefs and is believed to offer communal protection from such frightening creatures. So, now that we've learned more about these spooky cryptids, I think it's time to ask, what led to this amazing folktale? Well, there's actually quite a few factors responsible for the legend of the Rougarou as we know it today. Our first ingredient is sightings. Many reported sightings are likely chalked up to spotting a large dog, coyote, or even a bear in poor lighting, though others are a bit harder to explain away. Whatever the case, wherever you have odd and eerie sightings, you have people eager to talk about them. Next, you have the region's unique cultural mashup. Southern Louisiana is a veritable melting pot of local stories and legends. In this case, take a nice dose of French werewolf lore, Cajun Catholic tradition, and swamp survival lessons, then blend it all up for the perfect spooky tale custom fit for the area. And finally, it's sometimes as simple as people just loving a good old-fashioned monster story. For as long as people have been people, we've been sharing scary stories around campfires on dark nights, and that won't be stopping anytime soon. Though much time has passed since the days of the French settlers, the legend of the Rougarou has endured. In fact, one could even say it's thriving, having become a Louisiana cultural symbol. There's even a special celebration called Rougarou Fest held in Houma. This wild event is part Halloween bash, part cultural experience. Whether or not you believe the Rougarou to be a real living and breathing creature, Local art, music, and storytelling keep it alive and well in popular imagination. So, do I believe that the Rougarou is real? Honestly, who's to say? I personally never grew up hearing that story, nor am I even from the region, so far be it from me to yuck someone else's cultural yum. That being said, whether or not there really are wolfmen running around in the wild swamps of Louisiana, one thing is for certain. They're a very real part of the local identity, and that's gotta count for something, right? Whether the Rougarou is truly a living cryptid or merely a cautionary tale, it's folklore doing what it does best, keeping the culture alive and capturing imaginations. And whether you're a believer or not, you've got to admit, it's some pretty sound advice. After all, if you ever find yourself alone in the bayou at night and hear something rustling around in a bush, maybe don't stick around to find out. So, what do you think? Is the Rougarou a real monster, a fictional story, or perhaps just a very excitable furry taking things a bit too far? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your theories or even your personal encounters. And if you enjoyed this regional deep dive, please consider leaving a like or maybe even subscribing for more creepy content like this in the future. But that's all we have time for today. Until next time, I'm Katie O'Loughlin. Stay curious, and as always, stay creepy.